Mike, we've spoken about this issue before, and there's a refusal seemingly here to term this as a challenge for the Biden administration, not a crisis. We have just seen these surging figures for March. What does that figure translate to you?
Well, these March numbers are terrible. They're absolutely historic, but the problem is they're really, really not surprising at all. Anyone who's been following border and immigration policy understands that people south of the border respond to incentives, to loopholes, to changes in U.S. policy and messaging. This is the culmination of a whole host of those things, most particularly what you mentioned with regard to exempting under 18-year-olds from getting into the country. That sends a message to the cartels and the smugglers that bring a kid and the U.S. government will complete the final act of the human trafficking scheme and move them to wherever they want in the interior. Now, that's not to say that family units and single adults arriving are not also getting in. The Department of Homeland Security will tell you that, it's a blanket expelling of those categories of people. That's also not happening. We're seeing apprehensions across the board rising, over 175,000 total apprehensions in March, which is also a high water mark. There's no sign that these numbers will get better because, unfortunately, it is very difficult for the Biden administration to admit that it is their policies that have caused this. And so what needs to end this is stopping those policies. I'm not holding out hope that they'll recognize that. Instead, I think what we're going to see is the build out of more facilities and capacity to basically intake this many people and then distribute them through the interior.
And what is the impact of that? Because when you talk about these private facilities, it's estimated that some of these private facilities can cost U.S. taxpayers $750 per day per migrant.
Yeah, it's through the roof. In fact, the Department of Homeland Security is going through a lot of interesting steps to try to build out this capacity. Recently, they awarded a $90 million no bid contract. And so that means that it doesn't go through the traditional contracting routine where other people bid and you get a competitive price. Instead, they gave out $90 million to an organization called Endeavors that's staffed by former Obama administration appointees. And so this rush to just, push money out the door, the costs are going to be astronomical. I mean, they're looking at military bases. They're even using what's called man camps in Texas. These are places that oil workers used to stay when they were working, the oil fields. Instead, we're paying full flight to store people there. It's going to be extremely expensive, and the department and the administration are going to have to eventually come to Congress to beg for money to keep funding this. And the big question will be is, why should we spend money on this problem when you're the ones driving it through your policies? And so expect that debate to play out on a major stage here soon.
All right, Mike Howell, we appreciate your analysis. Thanks for coming on.